Hashem, today's Daf Yomi is Zevachim Daf Ayin Beis, Zevachim 72, and today's Daf Yomi, we're going to start on the bottom of Ayin Aleph Amud Beis, on the bottom of 71b. We're continuing our discussion, 2 lines from the bottom, on 71b. So the Gemara had cited the Mishnah. We started with the Mishnah yesterday, which said that if one chatos hamesos, meaning one sin offering that was supposed to die, you're not allowed to get any benefit from it, either by hektish or even by a hedgel, by a regular person. If one got mixed up with 1,000 karbanos, then it's going to be prohibited, and they all have to die because there can't even be any benefit from it, even from a hedjut, from a non-temple. So the Gemara says this idea that if it's something that's prohibited to have benefit from it, it's not nullified. It's never batil. The hedjut nami anyway. This idea is already taught in a different Mishnah. Why does it need to be repeated over here? Where was it taught? It says v'elu asurin v'osir mikoshin. There are certain things that are prohibited, and they're prohibited any amount, and they're never nullified. What are these things? Yayin nesech, wine that is used as libation for idolatry, v'avodas kochavim, and also idolatry. And then the Mishnah goes on to list all those things. So why does this need to be repeated in our Mishnah if we already have the Mishnah of Avodah Zarah that says this? So the Gemara explains on the top of Ayin Beis Amud Aleph Tzrichi, we needed both Mishnayos. If we only had the Mishnah in Mesachas Avodah Zarah, Avamina, I would have said the hedjot. I would have said that if it's something that is being used for somebody non-sacred purposes, that's when we say that this Yayin Nesach and Avodah Zarah is never nullified, because it's being used by something that's non-sacred, so it's no big deal. So you just lose the money. Avodah Gavoa, but if it's something for the temple, that meaning like a carbon that could be brought, Imalo Nasidinu. Well, cool. Maybe we would say we don't have to lose all of them. Rashi explains, maybe we'll figure out a solution. That maybe the thing that's prohibited will become nullified in the majority. And we'll say, let the carbon be brought. So that we don't have to lose all of them. And if we only had our case over here, I would have said, okay, in our circumstance over here, where it's kachim, where can you imagine how repulsive it would be that on the mizbeach we brought an animal that was prohibited to have benefit from it? So for kachim it would be disgusting. Aval chulin, but when it comes to chulin, the long bias. Chulin is it's nullified. No big deal if it's nullified. It's chulin anyway. It's not sacred. So it's not disgusting. Isuri, I know, I might have thought that it would be nullified in the majority. Why? Because we have the fundamental principle. Rashi says, we follow the majority. And so therefore, in this case, I might have thought so. So we need both cases. Mara says, but why don't we say, why don't we say it's nullified here in the majority? Why do we say in this case it's not nullified? And if you want to say chashivi v'lo batli, and if you want to say that the reason why it's not nullified is because it's chashuv, Rashi says it's something that is counted. We're going to see a dispute now citing from the Mishnah in Orla between Rabbi Meir and Chachamim, and there's going to be a dispute about Rabbi Meir's opinion. Now, one opinion is that Rabbi Meir says that anything that is always counted is never nullified, or the other position is that Rabbi Meir says anything that is likely counted or usually counted is not nullified because it's something choshev. So the Gemara says, and if you want to say that the reason why this chatos hamesos, this animal that's supposed to die, is not nullified is because it's choshev, the batli, it's significant, and therefore it's not nullified. Well, that only works according to the position who says it's never nullified. Who says the Mayor says that anything that is uh, uh, anything that is kol shadakul manos, anything that is most likely counted, Rabbi Meir says it is not going to be nullified. But according to one who says esh shadakul manos, but according to the one who says that Rabbi Meir says it's only not nullified if it's only always counted. Well, if that's the case, Michael Maimar, why in our circumstance is it not nullified? The animals are usually sold by the individual unit, but they're sometimes sold by the weight or by the like I'll sell you a pen of sheep. In which case, they're not always sold by the individual unit, according to the one who says that Rameir says it's only not nullified if it's always sold by the individual unit. And according to Rameir, it should be nullified in this case. Here we'll read the Rashi's here. It's a short daf, so we have the time to read the Rashi's. Kol shadakli manos, says the Rashi on 72a. Sheyesh b'nei adam hamakpidim b'minyanim, that there are people who are careful about their counting, and they only sell them the exact number. They sell them by the number. So shaninu do batzl. So that's one opinion that Rameir says it's not nullified. B'samach Mishnah, by this Mishnah of Chavile Tilton Shapir. So according to that Mishnah about, we'll see, the bundle of fenugreeks, it works out well because Rameir says the reason why it's not nullified is because these are usually sold by the number. Because most people are careful. They sell them only by the number. Even though there are some people who are not so careful. And they add on an extra animal here or there, or sell the whole flock together. But according to the position who says the Rameir is saying his opinion, that it's not nullified if it's chashav, only where every single time it's sold, it's only sold by the mean, it's only sold by the number. Rashi says that this is the only way. There's nobody else. The most Sarah who adds on an extra one for the purchaser. There's nobody who sells without the number. Hani, these animals ain't darko miyuchad minion. They're not always sold by the minion. They're not always sold by the number. Sheyesha mosif in yisera. There's some who add on a little extra animals. There's some who sell without the number. So according to the one who says their mayor only says it's not nullified in a case where it's only sold by the number, therefore it's too distinguished to be nullified. Well, if that's the case. According to Rabbi Meir, why is this chatas amesos that gets into a flock of good animals, sacrificial animals? Why is it not nullified? The chatas amesos is not only sold by the number. Your question, Jeff? So the Gemara says, there are other examples Rishonim discussed. This is not the only case of an animal of something that's not nullified. There are other cases of things that are not nullified. And the Gemara discusses why the Gemara doesn't raise those. Like, for example, there's the case of Baal Chayim. There's of a living creature. There's a case of a birya, a creature on its own. There's a case of a chaticha re'uyo eskabed, a distinguished piece of meat. But this is that's for a different discussion. But this is the Gemara's discussion here is something that's counted and sold by the number is not nullified. It still retains its significance, and so therefore it's not nullified. So according to this approach, Michael Maimar, how would the one who interprets Rameir that way explain our Mishnah Ditanan? How do we know that this is a dispute? Because there's a Mishnah in Orwa, and the Mishnah has a dispute between Rabbi Meir and the Chachamim. And according to Rameir, there's a further dispute, and within that further dispute, we see this position. It says Misha Hayilo Chavile Tilton Shakoa Akarim. So somebody has a bundle of fenugreek, it's a type of spice that it's very fenugreek and it's very special, and it's sold by the number. So and it's koyim, so you can't eat it. It's koyim, meaning it's a mixture of species. It was planted in a vineyard, and so therefore you can't have any benefit from it. So according to the first position of the Mishnah, which is Rabbi Meir, on top of Ayin Beis and Beis Yidlku, then you have to burn it because it says pen tukdash to karesh. You have to destroy it. This arvu ba'acherim, let's say this fenugreek, which is which is Kulayim got mixed up with others, and now we have a dispute about the next version, V'acherim, and those others, so this fenugreek got mixed up in your salad, and the salad got mixed up in somebody else's salad. So that it's a dispute whether or not we extend this principle to V'acherim. That takes us into the whole discussion of what's called a tzveka, a double doubt. Do we say that this is a sveka, a double doubt, on a rabbinic law and not included? So that's a whole dispute. But we'll just say here, for our purposes of understanding the daf, Yidluku Nisarabachem got mixed in with others, then Kuan Yidluku, then for sure they all have to be destroyed because Rameir says it's not nullified, Kulayim are not nullified, in the fenugreek Kulayim, Kilayakim are not nullified, the prohibitive benefit from. That's the position of Rameir. The Chacham say it can be nullified, and Kulayim are nullified not 1 in 60, like we have like milk and meat, but 1 in 200. Why 200 according to the Rabbanan? Rashi says, Zui Alias Arla v'Kol. This is how Arla and Kol Karim can be nullified, 1 in 200. Why? The Truma Ola v'Echav, because the concept of Truma is another principle that's nullified, and 1/100th is nullified. If it's less than 1 in 100th, it's nullified. Even Shekafos Isur. And so since Kilei Karim is it's double the prohibition. Why? Isur Anar, because it's not only prohibited to eat like Truma is, but you're not allowed to benefit. Kafos Aliyah. So we say, okay, it's only nullified 1 in 200. That's how explained in Sifri, Gabe Mikol Chalbo, and it's Mikdashomi menu. So the Mishtay v'Trumas Meiser Shehi Echa Mimeh. That's Trumas Meiser is 1 in 100. Karoi Mikdasho Masrash Mikdasho Mekadesh Esam Misarvan Bo. Okay. Anyway, so Rashi's theory is that it's 1 in 200 because it's double the prohibition of Truma, which is only to eat, and this is also to have benefit from. So the Chamim say it's nullified 1 in 200. Rav Meir says it's not nullified. And the Gemara says there's a dispute. Why does Rav Meir say it's not nullified in this case? But before we get to why Rav Meir says it's not nullified, we see the Mishnah continues. Shaya Rav Meir Omer, Kol Shadarko and Manos Mekadesh. Rav Meir says anything, hold on 1 second, there's a different version. It says Esh Shadarko, Kol Shadarko. But Rav Meir says anything that's counted, we'll see what that means, is Mekadesh, is not nullified. It makes everything prohibited. It's not nullified. Chachamim say no, it doesn't. The only things that are not nullified are Shisha Devarim Bavad, 6 things. Rabbi Kiva Omer Shiva, Rabbi Kiva says 7 things. And what are these 6 things? According to the Rabbanan, the Eloin, Agoze Perach, the Ramone Badan. Rash says these are nuts that come from a place called Perach, or pomegranates that come from a place called Badan. And the Chavios Sisumos, enclosed barrels. The Chilfe Taradin, the Kloche Kruv. And these are stalks of beets and stalks of cabbage, the Udlas Yavanis, and a Greek squash. Rabbi Akiva Mosif Afki Karshal Balabayas. Rabbi Akiva says also loaves of bread that are individually baked by the homeowner, not by the bakery. Those are not nullified because the person recognizes or they put their own work into it. Fine, but anyway, we see from here going back to our question. Continuing the Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva Mosif Afki Karshal Balabayas. Haroy Arla, Haroy Kol Kerem. Meaning to say that which is in these species capable of becoming arla makes the whole mixture into prohibition of arla, and that which has within these species something that can become kol karam makes within it prohibited as kol karam. So anyway, that's basically so that these things, if they get mixed up, they become orla, the ones that are appropriate for orla, and the ones that are appropriate for kol karam become kol karam. Anyway, we see from here a fundamental dispute. The Rabbi Meir says that these items are not nullified, that the fenugreek is not nullified, and the Rabbanan say it can be nullified. What's the reason why Rabbi Meir says the fenugreek is not nullified? Rabbi Yochanan ve'marla. So we learned today, Rabbi Yochanan Amar et shedarko imanoshim, something that's always counted, that's always sold by the singular count is not going to be nullified. Whereas Reish Lakish Omar Kol Shadar L'Mana Sheminu. Reish Lakish says no, only if it's usually sold by the count, it's not nullified. So the Gemara says, well, Hanichol Reish Lakish. So Reish Lakish, we understand why our Mishnah here says this Chatos Amesos is not nullified because it's usually sold by the count. El Rabbi Yochanan Ma'ikol Meimer, according to Rabbi Yochanan, who says that Rabbi Meir's position is something that's only sold by the number is not counted. Well, the animals is not nullified. Well, the animals are not only sold by the number. And so if that's the case, the animals here in this case should be nullified. So why does our Mishnah say it's not nullified, assuming our Mishnah is the position of Rabbi Meir? Usually an anonymous Mishnah is like Rabbi Meir. So that's basically the question on Rabbi Yochanan. Isn't his reading of Rabbi Meir contradicting our Mishnah? So how would we explain it? Michael Maimer. So Amar Papa, it's not Rabbi Meir. That's what Papa's answer is. The author of our Mishnah is not Rabbi Meir. That's what Rabbi Yochanan would say. Hi, Tana Deliktra Kitao. So the author of our Mishnah is the author of a Mishnah that's brought in. He's the author of the Brisa that discusses Litra Kisaos. And we're going to see on coming up that that's the position of Rabbi Yehuda in the name of Rabbi Yeshua. What's Litra Kisaos? This is the amount of figs. Figs are sold by the litra, it's a measurement. Assume it's related to the word liter. The Amar, and so that position there is that anything, we'll see this position inside, that anything that's ever sold, even though most people don't sell by number, but anything that's ever sold by the number is not going to be nullified. And so therefore it's a new position. And so therefore some people want to, well, sell the Chatos HaMesos by the number. Therefore it's not nullified. The Amar Kol Davar Sheyesh Bo B'Minyan, because the author of that brisa says, Kol Davar Sheyesh Bo Minyan, anything which is ever sold by the number. Like, for example, she says, Kol Shadarko Imonos Klal, could go in Litros Shel Ketzios, like this liter of figs. Sherov B'nei Adam Ein Bo Mocham. Most people don't sell them by the number. Most people just step on them and crush them into like a cake of figs and sell the whole cake together. But since sometimes some people sell them individually, called over sheyesh bo b'minyan, afilu b'derabanan, even if it's something that's prohibited only rabbinically, like truma on figs, still it's not going to be nullified. All the darko imanos klal, afilu b'derabanan lo bato. The kol shekaim b'derais, and for sure something that is of a biblical nature. And we're going to continue with the daf now, but I will stop the recording so that, because this is tomorrow's daf, but we'll continue studying it now. Okay.